Hey, friends. Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. Come join me, your host, Nicole, for some hope-filled conversations about heartfelt entertainment that makes your heart swing. Hey, Hallmarkies. Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. I'm your host, Nicole, joined once again today by my friend Alex to talk about the Countdown to Christmas movie for 2023, Catch Me If You Claus, starring Luke McFarlane and Italia Ricci. It was written by Nina Weinman and directed by Bradley Walsh. Avery Quinn's shot at anchoring news clashes with a Santa-suited intruder, Chris, who insists he's Santa's son on his first Christmas mission. They unravel a career-making story together. Welcome back to the podcast, Alex. I'm excited to chat with you today about this movie.
Yes, me too. Definitely one of the more fun movies.
Yeah.
More fun Christmas movies for Hallmark this year, which I really loved.
Yes. Yes. And just being honest here for a second, before I saw this, I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to like it, but I actually did enjoy it.
Yes, same. I agree. It took me by surprise, this one, in a good way.
Yes, in a good way. And I've always enjoyed Nina's scripts or movies. I think she's always done a great job.
Yes.
Going into our merry musings, would you like to start us off?
Yes. Like I said, this one was really fun, very enjoyable, kept you on your toes, which I loved. I definitely put this movie in the category with Santa Summit this year. It had more of the fun, upbeat storylines, and I thought it was great.
It was a strong, well-written script by Nina with lots of comedic moments, witty banter, and a little bit of mystery with the solving the crime of the flash drive.
Yes. Yes.
With the mayor. I thought it was an interesting and fun concept, something we haven't seen on Hallmark before.
Definitely not. Definitely have not seen a movie like this before, which I appreciated because I like when they branch out and they do different styles of movies.
Yeah. The chemistry with the cast I thought was fantastic, especially between Luke and Italia.
Yes, their chemistry was very good.
Of course, we've got tons of Christmas feels. I mean, Santa Claus, Christmas lights, Christmas trees.
Yes.
A Christmas Carol mention, which we'll talk about later on.
Oh, the Christmas sled at the end.
Yes. Yep.
With the reindeer.
Yes. May I just say Chris's right-hand man, Dylan.
Hats
Great
off
side character. Great side character. And we didn't get a whole bunch of scenes with them, but I love the friendship between Avery and Talia.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
I know. We only had we didn't have that many scenes with them, right?
2 or 3, I think.
Yes, in the beginning. Their friendship was cute.
Yes. Moving on to holiday highlights, would you like to share some of yours first?
Yes. Probably 2, or I should say, no, let's go with 2. 2 of my favorite scenes. Probably the one, right in the beginning, where Chris comes down the chimney and she ties him up and she has the umbrella. Avery, she's trying to step over him to make sure he's alive. Thank God he was. And she goes, what? She goes, what are you doing here? She goes, not tonight. I have a broadcast to be at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Yeah. Not tonight.
Yes.
That scene I love. That was really funny. And I'm trying to think of, the other scene in the middle of the movie where they go into the theater. And the what's his name?
Lewis.
Yes, is telling them how they do a theater production of A Christmas Carol.
Dinner theater.
Yes. He tells Avery, he goes, we won 3 Tonys. She goes, 3 Tony, you won 3 Tony Awards? He goes, no, 3 Tony's pieces. Like the comedy aspect of this film was spot on from beginning to
Yes, I agree. And the meet cute scene, I thought it was funny when she's calling for help and she's like, this is not happening tonight. You can rob me any night but tonight. And then, of course, she gets the answering machine and it says, we're sorry. We cannot process your phone call right now or whatever.
Yes,
And
because of the storm that was
yeah.
happening.
And she was like, you are so not sorry. And then one of the funny lines from Chris is when he says, oh, my dad is going to be so upset, and you do not want to upset my dad. Who are you? Or what? Your dad is in on this? What are you, mafia? Oh my gosh. I wanted to write down every single line from that scene because it was
Yes.
brilliant.
Hilarious.
I didn't write down the exact line, but when Chris is trying to break out of the garland and talking about his watch with the latitude and longitude, and then she goes on to say how he's jeopardizing her career because she's got to be at the station at 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, you have tied up Santa Claus, thereby jeopardizing Christmas.
And she's standing there. She's like, you are not not believing him at all. No, she's like, you're not Santa Claus. She's like this is like you're making this up.
Yep. And then they start talking about her neighbor Becca's gift. And she says, you opened it? How do you sleep at night? When she breaks his phone.
He goes, yeah, it's in my pocket. Get it for me. Splits it.
Oh my gosh. And then she starts taking notes for her story. And then they go outside. And after she picks up his coat for him,
Mm-hmm.
he says something. And then she's like, why are all the hot ones crazy? And then the alarm guy, Ricky, gets there. And they talk to him for a second. And then they start driving away.
It was hilarious when she first thought it was the actual police. He goes, "No, I'm just an alarm guy." And he points to like the badge on his shirt.
Oh my gosh. And going back to the first scene for a second, because there was a funny line from Misty and Bink, who are the news anchors. They say, and in lighter news, a penguin has fallen in love with a chihuahua.
Like such a random story. Like no one's gonna believe a story like make it a little bit more believable.
Yes. Of course, Avery, after that, meets with Nancy, and she wasn't given the weekend anchor job because some at the station don't think she's ready. And I will say that I think part of it could potentially be because of her mom.
Yeah. Yeah, she always felt like overshadowed by her mom, and she felt like
Yes.
she was never going to get the chance to
Mhm.
like live up to her expectations. One day, she felt like people like looked at her differently because of
Yeah.
her mom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of Misty? The scene when she's in the bathroom and has to talk with Avery. I was like,
I'm like, this woman is over the top. She is out there.
yes. She says, you need to start dressing for the job that you want, not the job that you already have. It's
Mm-hmm.
not what's on the inside that counts, but what's on the outside. I'm like, okay, lady.
It's actually the opposite. Count
Yeah.
reverse that. Reverse it. It's what's on the inside that counts. not the outside.
Yeah. And Avery's like, that goes against every self-help lecture I've ever heard. And Talia is like there the whole time, just
And she's like eavesdropping.
eavesdropping in a stall. And Avery was like, you could have saved me from that. Misty lost her voice to laryngitis, and everyone is out of town for the holidays, including Bink, who is leaving first thing on Christmas morning. So there's no anchor, which means that Avery is going to offer to cover for Misty. And of course, they're a little hesitant at first, but then they give her the job. And Tally's reaction,
I love the reaction.
that was priceless.
It's like her drink goes everywhere.
She's like, okay, I did not just do that. The scene with Chris and Avery in the car. Now, this is after they've left her house. And they drove away from the security guy.
Yes.
Or the alarm company guy. Ricky.
In the golf cart.
Yeah. And the angry, snarky banter in the car. You could be home in bed dreaming of sugar plums and teleprompter.
Like, that's the scene where she goes to. She goes, all I wanted to do was drop you off at the police station.
I think so.
Right? All I wanted to do was drop you off at the police station.
And go to bed.
Yes. So I can be ready for my broadcast.
Cheery and lovely in the morning. They also hear an alert from the Dayton Alarm Company. One employee is at the east end of Vista Road, which is nowhere near where they are. And Avery's like, if the Santa Crook is all the way across town, who are you? Do we really have to go through all this again? Chris not wanting Avery to wander around alone, I thought was...
I love that. It's such a sweet line from him.
Yeah. He's like, I wasn't raised that way, so... Yeah, that was very sweet. And this is when they talk about her most meaningful gift and the flashback to when she was 6 or 7. The gift was a leather-bound journal with the inscription, Dig Deeper.
Yes. Very sweet how he remember that.
Yes. And then we get a guy who is Peter Mayhew looking in Avery's car. And just going back to the beginning for a little background on Peter, when Misty and Bink are giving the first news report, they're talking about him and the former mayor, Hewitt Vance. Vance continues to defend against accusations of corruption with his Christmas Care Foundation.
Yes.
And Peter was his one-time right-hand man, and he claims that Vance was using foundation funds for personal use. He says, Vance says he's 100% innocent and claims Peter is a disgruntled ex-employee who loves a good conspiracy theory. And we'll find out more about that later. We already briefly mentioned it a few minutes ago, but I loved the scene when they're at the home dinner theater meeting Lewis and the theater troupe. And the theater troupe is the Dayton, Ohio Community Players. And in order to use the phone, Avery has to audition for the group.
And so great scene. Not to interrupt you, Nicole. Like, she was literally auditioning, but in the moment, she didn't even realize she was actually auditioning with what she was telling them, and I love that.
Yep. And you may not believe in Santa, but I believe in you. And Lewis, after she auditions, she says, perhaps the most brilliant performance I've seen in this great hall, or something along this.
Yes. I think I'm pretty sure that was the line.
Yeah. Of course, she is in the theater group now and
Mm-hmm.
is allowed to use the phone. And then she comes back after using the phone and the computer to find Chris talking to everyone and specifically Lewis about his most pivotal gift.
Mm-hmm.
And she figures out that Chris is really who he says he is.
Yes. That was a really sweet,
Yeah.
tender scene too.
They also talk about the info she just found on the other Santa crook
Mm-hmm.
with a female accomplice. They stole a flash drive from a safe at Hewitt Vance's house. And then when they come back out to the main room, they
Yes.
see sketches of them on the news, and Chris says, "Is my nose really that pronounced?" "No, you have a cute nose."
That's actually another one, a second favorite scene of mine. She's like standing there, but she goes, "Would any of you believe that this is a case of mistaken identity?"
Yeah, and I like how Lewis is like, "We don't judge."
We don't judge here. We're not judges in here.
I thought it was also sweet how Chris didn't want to leave Avery until he knows that she's safe.
Yeah, I love that scene. That's probably second or third favorite scene when they have that like that little
Yeah.
side
Yes.
conversation, like when they're about to leave
Yeah.
the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. And he shares his feelings. "Ever since I started working with you, I'm in the zone. I feel more like Santa than ever."
Mm.
And then I think he says something about her being his secret weapon.
Mm.
And then, she has a witty comeback line for that. And
Yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when they're in the upstairs room with Lewis and, he's saying the thing that they all like to say in the theater, "The show must go on."
No.
Then Chris says the saying from up north, "Sleigh bells and whistles, candy cane and thistles." Silence, the awkward
I
silence.
know, right? No, they're all just like sitting there, like, okay,
Okay.
whatever that was.
Mm-hmm. I also loved when Peter goes into the theater and is looking for Chris and Avery. And, Chris and Avery are hiding.
Yes, they
And
like,
everyone's just like being all defensive.
and they duck behind like the little bar area. Yeah.
Yeah. I love when, Peter's like, "I'm just going to take a look around," or whatever. And the guy that plays Tiny Tim, he stands up from his seat and he's like, "You're not going to find them because they're not here."
Yeah. Trying to cover for them. I know they the whole group like covering for them was so sweet. Good
Yes.
job.
And them dressing up in the costumes to get in the van.
Clever. Like I said, I thought like at that scene too, I was like, oh, okay. This is it. They're out of there. No one saw them. They're good. And then you get to the police station, the news station, and then
They're
you see the white
kidnapped.
van. Yeah, the white van pulling up, and then they get taken.
Hostage
Yes, taken.
by Peter and another guy, or
Yeah.
Peter's guys.
Peter.
Whoever was working for him. And of course, they're looking for the flash drive. I thought it was so sweet when Chris said, "They mess with my secret weapon, they're going down." Then we see the hand holding with them
Yes.
tied up.
Yes. That scene was funny too.
Yes.
Then they bring in the actual
Santa Cruz.
thieves. And one part, I don't know if we're gonna get up to it,
I'm a big fan of vigilante justice.
And that part, like, that's the part where Vance is like at no, not Vance. One of Vance's guys is at Avery's
Peter?
house, and he breaks in to get the flash drive. Right? That's like
Peter,
happening
I
during.
believe.
Yeah, Peter
Mhm.
and Nicole. I found this scene hilarious. Of course,
It's
the guy's
like,
gonna rummage through the entire house, right?
yeah.
Pillows. Why would somebody hide a flash drive in a pillow? Like, don't you think they would be more smart at putting it in a better place where no one will find it? No one's gonna hide a flash drive in a pillow. Obviously, you're gonna find it if you go through a pillow.
I mean, how do you, unless the pillow has a zipper, how are you going to unstitch a pillow?
Exactly. I'm like, I'm like, that's not a good place to look. Like, you gotta think of like you gotta be clever. You gotta be smart. Think of a place where like you wouldn't think of looking, not a pillow.
Yeah, not a pillow. And don't destroy Christmas pillows, please.
They're too pretty to be destroyed.
And he's like, Merry Christmas to me. As Chris's right hand man, Dylan, is looking in the window, watching him
Yes.
tear the pillow up.
Yes. And checking in, like what's going on.
Yeah. Also, the banter between Chris and Avery and the fake Santa crooks when they switch seats. And I think the woman's like, something's changed. And Avery's like, the weather.
What did you guys just like? Rain, hail, sleet.
And they're like, okay, I'm not buying it, but whatever. And we have gotten to it. One of the steamiest scenes I think I've ever seen in a Hallmark movie.
Yes, it's up there on the list.
Chris and Avery, they've escaped the
Mm-hmm.
hostage situation, and they have left the real Santa Crooks to deal with Peter and his men. And they try to go into a local church to use the phone. And the door, of course, is locked.
Mm-hmm.
So they run across the street, and Peter and one of his guys are after them.
Mm-hmm. They see the car. They notice
They
the
see the
car drive
car,
by the church.
and then they run through the parking lot. They find a car, they get in it, and she's like, trust me. And then she kisses him. Ooh, I think I need a fan.
Like literally sits on top of him, straddling him, and kissing. That's the whole scene. Just gonna be. Everybody watched it. Let's just tell everybody how it is.
What?
I honestly couldn't believe that they put that in there. I'm like, like I said, like lately with a lot of these kissing scenes, it's not like the regular cute, oh, like 1 second, 2 second kissing scenes. No, 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 no. They were like literally going completely out of left field, which you know what, like when it's certain movies and it's certain scenes, I appreciate it. But yeah, that was some kissing scene.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't think they'll ever like go too far, but
No, no, I don't think they can. I don't think they can. It's not like a Lifetime movie. Like Lifetime, their movies are a little bit more,
mhm. Yeah,
I guess, out. I guess out there.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like they take more risks that Hallmark doesn't really.
Mhm.
I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say? Like
Yeah, yeah. I don't think Hallmark will ever go that
push
far,
it, like push it to that limit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I do think that they're going to continue with the steamy kisses.
Which I do appreciate.
Yeah,
Not gonna lie.
yes. And getting off track here for a second, that really makes me wonder what marriage Shane and all of our kisses are going to be like.
Good luck with that too.
I think all the postables are going to need a fan.
Like I said, they're upping like even the kid, like they're upping all these kissing scenes, like which I have seen in the movies lately. I know you probably, like you said, like this one noticed it too. I'm like, they're really steering away, which is good. Like I said, which is good.
Yes. Just you wait. Just you wait until you get to particular Oliver kisses. Just you wait. Because there are some that are whoo, whoo, whoo. There's one in a later movie in a particular place. I don't want to spoil it,
Don't spoil it.
but there's
As we
some
go on.
there's some hidden meaning that Martha wrote into that. Some hidden message. I'll just say that. But done very gracefully, I will say. Done
Yes.
very well and
Right.
not
Like,
inappropriate.
yes, yes. That's what I thought about this
Yeah.
kissing scene too in this movie. It was done very tastefully. That's what I have to point
Tastefully
out.
done. Yes.
Yes, that's what I have
That's
to
what I
point
was
out
trying to say.
about these kissing scenes too. Like, first of all, like everybody thinks about kissing scenes in general, like when they're so like over the top, like
Yeah.
they're not done tastefully. But you can still do kissing scenes and still make them tasteful, where you can appreciate it, where it's
Yeah, and even like what they're
right, like it's
saying in the scene.
right, like it's
Yeah.
like good for the scene, but and you're appreciating it, but it's not taking it, pushing it too far where it's like overdone.
Yes. This one particular scene I'm talking about, like what Shane and Oliver are talking about, the way Martha writes it is very tastefully done, and you know what they're talking about without actually saying it.
Oh, I love that. I love
Yeah.
those type of scenes.
Yes. But going back to Catch Me If You Claused, when they are in the car and after they've shared that steamy kiss, they realize that there is another guy in the car sleeping who works for Tony's Pizza. And I loved when she took his phone and she used the face recognition.
You go, come on, face recognition, work. I love that part too.
Yes. And then after that, they start walking down the street and they pretend like they're a married couple when they go by Elizabeth Mayhew, who is the person waiting for the drive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who happens to be Peter's wife,
Right.
correct?
Yes. A few minutes later, Officer Billings finds the real Santa Crooks who stole Avery's car. Yep.
Oh, that scene was really funny. Too.
Yeah.
And she goes like, step outside of the car. Yeah,
Step
there.
outside. Yep.
Put your hands where I can see them.
Step out of the car, please. Avery at her house with Chris. Now this is winding down towards the end of the movie. And they're talking about his dad and right-hand man Dylan coming. Because apparently his dad thinks that he is not up to the job. Avery wants to take the blame, which I thought was very sweet, and then she compliments him on how kind and generous he's been the whole night.
Which was really, really cute.
And then they almost share a kiss before they're interrupted by his dad. And I like how, Santa, Chris's dad, greets Avery. He's like, "Hi, Avery." I thought that was sweet.
Yeah.
I thought that was cute.
I love the conversation right after with Chris and his dad, how
Dad. With his pivotal gift, which was a small bear.
Right. He was like, he starts telling him how like he felt the entire night. He was just off course and didn't have like the right type of feelings when trying to get the gifts to the people he had to give the gifts to. He felt like everything was on track. But then when Avery came along, he felt like she helped him a lot. Like remember why he wanted to be who he was and how he can live up to his dad's expectations.
Yeah, I agree. Vance and his guys show up and he says, I bring Christmas joy to people who otherwise wouldn't get the chance to celebrate. I love how Santa is like, well, that's a bunch of malarkey.
And then Avery starts reading off the laptop and the files, and she goes, "Can you tell me how a vacation home, a boat, and then something else?" And she goes, "Has to do with giving back for a Christmas charity."
Yeah. And Santa and Avery start telling Vance off, and I was like,
Yes, I was like, "Please,
yes.
yes, tell him off."
And Vance gets caught, and I love how Ricky is like, I never voted for you anyways.
Yeah, like he expected to just walk out of the house. Like the cops weren't gonna find him eventually. Like obviously you're gonna get caught eventually for the
Yeah.
crimes you committed.
Yep. Back at the station, it is 15 minutes before Avery is supposed to go on the air, and she's still not there. Nancy, of course, is worried, and she's saying she wouldn't miss something like this. Something is wrong. So she puts Talia in charge very temporarily, and I love her reaction. She's like, no, 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 no.
Just no, I can't do this. No, please don't make me do this.
Yes. And then it jumps back to Avery and Santa and Chris and Dylan going out to the sleigh. And I loved her reaction to the sleigh.
Yes.
And then they get to the station, with the zapping of the sleigh,
Yeah.
the way it like quickly
That scene reminded me of a Disney movie back in the day
Santa
called
Claus.
Santa Claus. Yes, that's what I thought of. That scene with Tim Allen playing Santa.
That's one of my favorite Christmas movies ever.
Me too. Classic.
Yes.
One of
Love
my
Tim Allen.
Me too. Ever since Toy Story.
Yep.
And his other films too.
Yes. And his co-star that he fell in love with in the Santa Claus, Elizabeth Mitchell, was in a movie with Cameron Matheson.
Mm-hmm. And she's on also, not in relation to Hallmark, she's in Outer Banks on Netflix.
I think I heard that.
She's very good in it. Very good in it.
When they get to the station, I thought it was really sweet, the encouragement that Santa and Chris gave Avery.
Mm.
They're like, you can do this.
Yeah, you got it. Mm-hmm.
The way Avery's like running into the station was priceless.
You have to bring that up, like knocking down every person or thing that's in her way to get to the desk in time.
That would be me.
That would be me too.
I love how she says, does everyone have to use everything today?
I love to see where she the coat rack has like the green blaze and she just like rips it off the hanger and she puts it on. And she tries to fix her hair.
And then she knocks something over, I think, and she's like, I'll get that later. Oh my gosh. And then when she goes up to the desk, like literally seconds before they go on the air, and she kind of like shoves Talia out of the way, and she's like, sorry. When Avery is giving the report, Misty's like, I could have done this. As she sneezes. Oh my gosh. And Avery is giving the news report, and if I remember correctly, the charges against Vance were
Indeed.
accurate. Yeah.
Yes, indeed to be true. Yes.
Yes. And Peter was, I think, trying to get the flash drive as a cover-up.
Yes. Yes.
But they both committed a crime.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's it. Because I remember Avery in the scene when she's walking and explaining everything to Chris about what was happening. This is the story she wants to crack. how Peter used to work for the former mayor, and he accused him of stealing funds, like what you brought up before, from his foundation that he has started that provides Christmas for people who can't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
Peter got fired. He tried to sue for wrongful termination, but he lost. No one believed him because Vance is the mayor, and now he was like an upstanding citizen of the town. So whatever, so they figured out in that scene before where they saw Peter's wife waiting for the car, Avery and Chris figured out that whatever is on that flash drive has to do with the conflict between the two of them. Avery believes Peter set up a string of robberies to make it look like some serial theft ring when in effect he is only targeting one safe, which was Vance's, to retrieve the flash drive. Yeah. Like you said, and that was the story she wanted to break, and she realized then they're both at fault. That's the whole plot of the story, and turned out she was right.
Yes, thank you for writing that down because I did.
You're right. That I'm like, I have to write this down. This is an important part of the story.
And we hear her wrap up the news report by saying, and that concludes the story of the Santa Crooks, the philanthropist, and a wild ride of mistaken identity, which included yours truly.
Yep.
And to end the report, we have Beyonce singing for the troops.
I love they added it in there. Of all people, why not pick Beyonce? She's one of the most popular artists in the world.
Yep. Coming up next, after the break. Or I think she says, and after the break, Beyonce sings for the troops.
Yes, that's the line.
I loved the end scene with Chris and Avery when she tells him that she got the weekend anchor job, and he gives her Christmas gift, which is a pair of boots. And they talk about their crazy night. Chris makes it snow, and then they share more kisses. One when they're standing outside the building, and then one in the sleigh. And he invites her to have breakfast in Bali, and they're talking about figuring out what to tell people and how they met.
Yes.
They lived happily ever after.
Yes.
I thought it was a great ending to this movie.
No, I definitely agree. I thought it was like very sweet. The ending.
Yeah. I actually maybe would like to see another one.
I would love to see
more of them.
Yes. More of their like relationship. Me too.
Yes. I mean, they did well with the Santa Claus movies with Santa in a relationship.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. The third movie, I wasn't as
me too. About, the first two were better.
The second one. Yeah. All around, I think this was a great movie. And moving into our ratings, what would you give it out of 10 for plot and script?
9 out of 10.
That's what I gave it to. Yeah. Chemistry.
9 out of 10.
I gave it 10, but 9 is fair too. Yeah. Christmas feels.
8 out of 10.
8. I said 9. Yeah. And overall,
I'm gonna go with the same thing I said. 9. No, actually 10 out of 10. The whole movie.
I give it 9, but I thought it was still a really good movie for I really enjoyed it. More than
me too. Like I said in the beginning, it was definitely up there with the comedic, more funnier, lighthearted movies, like when we review the Santa Summit. So
I think it'll at least make my top 10 for the year.
Me too.
I don't know yet how high it's going to be, but I feel like it might, as of right now, make it the top 10 from all the other movies that have come out so far that I've seen. Well, this was so much fun. As always, Alex, thank you for joining me for this review.
Thanks for having me back on. It was a lot of fun.
Of course. And I can't wait to have you back again in the future.
Sounds good.
All right, Hallmarkies, I think that wraps up our review of Catch Me If You Claws. If you enjoyed this episode, you can like this video and share your thoughts on the movie in the comments. If you want to stay up to date on all of my Christmas movie reviews, you can subscribe to this channel and make sure to turn on the bell so you are alerted when new episodes come. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a great day or night wherever you are in the world, and we will see you next time. We love y'all. Bye!